forefront of my mind is the consideration that the idea alone has to have power and impact. Be bold, take risks. Like Mr. Loverman, Black, Gay, Caribbean, 74, or Blonde Roots, my satirical race inversion novels where Africans enslave Europeans, or The Emperor's Babe, a verse novel about a black girl in Roman London 1800 years ago. Aim for stories that make people do a double take, that get noticed, that get you noticed. And if you're an academic, support black women, academics and students who aspire to be academics. Open the door so that we too have a voice, a place, a chance to shine. Do whatever you can to open doors for yourself and for others. The future is up to you.
Well, thank you very much for leading us down the memory lane for a very important trip, I think. We have a lot of reasons to celebrate. A lot of writers who may be forgotten, especially in the academia. Funnily enough, my first encounter with Black British writing was The Unbelonging by John Riley. And obviously, hopeful for the future. I know it's sometimes very difficult to be hopeful about the future, especially in this climate. I think we're almost all running into our lunch, so some of you may need to take your lunches into the panels. I hope that's okay. We need to go back to the other building, but I'm happy to take 2 short questions now. If anyone from the audience got a question, Deirdre.
Bernadine, I just wondered, collectivism is so important, and it gets echoed right through Black women's history, no matter where in the world. And do you see that this sort of self-promoting narcissism that the publishing houses really, they like to have their star, they like to have the singular person. So I wondered about the tension between what's going to get more people through collectivism against that dynamic.
I think collectivism is important, and it's certainly important to nurture and encourage new writers, because it's the way in which writers such as myself and Dorothy broke through, you know, all those decades ago. But there is a tension between the industry and us, what we want to write, the way in which we want to express ourselves, and also our readership. The industry isn't really catered for black writers. They don't market to black readers, for example. They don't have black people working in positions of power. There used to be 2 senior commissioning editors, Elise Dilsworth and Ella Orfrey, and they've both disappeared. So I think my message really, especially to the writers here, and I know people are doing that, I know there are people here who are actually like Katie Massey and so on, who are actually setting up their own initiatives, is that you have to do it, and you have to do it as a group, and try to make inroads in that way, because you're not in control of whether the publishing industry becomes accessible to you, as in the mainstream publishing houses.
Thank you.
When I had my sabbatical in 2002, I was looking around for people teaching Black British literature, because that's the way I justified my sabbatical. I was interested in who they were reading and how they were being taught, and it was dismal. There were no courses that I could find. Usually you had a course on African American women writers, but that's about it. I wonder if it has changed.
I'm not probably the best person to ask this, but I don't think there are a lot of people in this country teaching Black British literature.
I suppose Deirdre could also comment on it.
Yeah, but they have an MA now.
Yes, they've got the MA. The Goldsmiths MAs is about to start.
They're special. Do you know?
I think there was a report done by John Animado from Goldsmith and someone else on the yes, and Les Beck on the kind of undergraduate courses and postgraduate courses in Black British writing, and it was rather depressing.
2002 then?
Can't remember. Do you remember, Deirdre?
It was after the On Whose Terms conference, 2008 and 9.
On Whose Terms was 2008.
No,
yeah, I remember that presentation.
But the problem is there aren't enough black academics in universities.
Yes.
So you don't need to be a black. Am I a black academic? I mean, you don't need to be black or even British to teach a course in it.
No, it's usually
and believe me, most of us are not like him. Yay! So it's not a question of who you are. It's a question of what you want to know. Anyone?
Well, I think this is linking on well to our next panel on teaching Black British writing. So please thank Bernadine once again for a wonderful speech.